In the current code, we have many tests, but practically checking all fields like this sometimes is a cumbersome job. Also, there are components which are used to display the data and do not have classes like state modifications. Writing a field level test for such a component is also not a good idea. In this case, you can write a snapshot test. Basically, it takes the snapshot or a picture of output for the first time, and then it compares the same output snapshot when the next time component is rendered. If it does not match, then the test fails. Let's practically see this. So instead of all these tests, I'm just going to write a single test. So let me remove all the tests here. Then I say test. I give a description of, let's say, snapshot test. And inside this arrow function, I will say expect. And inside this, I'm going to render the counter component. Now here comes the trick. The jest provides a method called to match snapshot. Now I'll just say to match snapshot. What this does is, this actually creates a snapshot. Now first of all, let me just save this, and now if you observe here in the src folder, there is a snapshots folder created, and if I just click on it and open the counter.test.js.snap file, that is actually the snapshot of the component's output. That output is stored inside this snap file. So this is in a way your output file or the component's outputs snapshot. So the snapshot has been taken. This has been preserved inside a file. Now, if you observe the test here, it says that all the tests have passed. In case if there is any change in the output, for example, I go to the counter.js, and if I just say 10 here, the moment I change the value, certainly the snapshot has value 0 initially. So if I save this, let's just check. Let me just save this, and you will see that the test is failed now. And if you observe, it says that snapshots 1 failed. So now all the time it is going to refer the initial snapshot which was taken for the component's output. Now there can be one more question in your mind, that assume my component is changed and it has now 10 instead of 0. Now this is a valid output and you want to change your snapshot. You want to replace the existing snapshot. How will you do that? Well, it's very easy. If you see here, it says that one snapshot failed from one test suite, which is fine. And then it says inspect your code changes or press U to update them. It means that if I press U, then the new snapshot will be taken with value 10. Let me do that. I click here. So the focus is inside this terminal and I press U. Now if you see, it actually executed it again and now the test is passed. This also means the moment I pressed U, it updated the snapshot with value 10. Now this is the valid value. So now in case, let's say if I remove this h3, or even if you simply change a class name, for example, you have given some CSS and you change it, and if it affects the output, if the output is changed, certainly the snapshot will not be compared. I mean, it will not equal to the previous snapshot and it will fail the test. So here, now because I pressed U, the snapshot is updated and you see the new snapshot. So this will certainly run. If I save it again, it's going to run fine because it is expecting 10 now. That was the initial output. Again, if I change this back to 0 and if I save this, the snapshot which is expecting value 10, the output is 10, so here it says failed. Again I press U here, then the new snapshot is updated. In short, the snapshot testing is very useful and it basically stores the initial picture of the output, and that is being compared for next of the executions. Now let's talk about few relative questions. So the question is, what is snapshot testing? So as I just mentioned, it is basically the outputs snapshot has been taken and that is getting compared for subsequent changes. The second question is, how will you overwrite a snapshot? So that also we saw here that when we pressed U, it actually overwrites the previous snapshot and updates with the new component's output. So U is basically used to overwrite the snapshot.